Ad Infinitum is the only podcast solely focused on audio ads.
Advertising.
The creatives who make them and or the latest thinking that informs them, how the space is evolving, and my favorite part, a roundup of recent audio ads and analysis by yours truly,
Ad campaign.
Stu Redwine, VP Creative at Oxford Road, and each episode's guest. Welcome to Ad Infinitum, the podcast dedicated to everything audio advertising, where we break down the most innovative strategies shaping the future of this medium. This is a special episode in season 2 where we're going to take a look at the AI-driven audio tech with a live demo of Inco's Spec AI. And that's why today's guest is a legend in the world of audio, Dave Chachi Dennis, host of the podcast Chachi Loves Everybody and president of Benstown. If anyone knows what makes audio branding tick, it's Chachi. We're going to break down how Inco's Spec AI uses artificial intelligence to help audio creatives do what they do best, create. Chachi, welcome to the show.
Stu, thank you so much for having me. And very kind of you to say I'm a legend. I have listened to many of your episodes, and you've had a lot of legends on, such as Craig Kitchen, and I am far from that pedigree, but very kind of you to say that, and thank you for having me on.
Well, I mean, anytime your name comes up, similar sort of response to the legendary Craig Kitchen. People always have great things to say. Everybody loves Chachi, is what I hear.
You just put a massive smile on my face. To even be compared to that ilk means a lot, so thank you.
Oh, completely. And you brought a friend.
I did, yeah. Please say hi to Masa. Masa Patterson is our Vice President of Operations, and he is joining us from New Haven, Connecticut.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining. It's awesome to have you guys both on the show today, and I'm especially excited about the hands-on demo we're going to be doing. Something we've talked about doing. I had Oscar Sarander from Wondercraft.ai on as well, and like we listened to some ads, we graded some ads, and it was like, wouldn't it be cool to run this through Wondercraft? And we did it after the fact and then put that into the next episode. That's why I reached out to you. I was like, let's just actually do it. Like, we have the technology, so let's just do it. And that's what we're going to focus on instead of doing all the ad breakdowns and all of that. So I think that that's pretty cool, and things keep developing for you, like we were just talking right before the show. So you had a press release that came out today.
We did. We announced this morning that we are now up to 25 station groups with Spec AI. So we're primarily, as you know, radio, but there's no doubt that there are a lot of similarities between radio and podcasting, and a lot of podcasting has been born out of radio. But I do want to note that it is a slightly different pool, and so it's really meant to help account executives go out and get lead generations.
And tell me more about the station groups, because our listener is a chief audio officer. That's the person that's been tasked with making the dollars work in audio. And that might be in streaming, that might be in podcasts, it might be in terrestrial radio. Station groups is one of those things that's like, what does that even mean to somebody who's maybe the uninitiated?
Yeah, sure. So over the years, there's been a lot of consolidation in radio. And so you've got more than a handful, but there are probably a dozen large, substantial radio groups that own a large chunk of the radio stations that are out there. In our particular case, some of our biggest clients are Beasley. We also work with Connoisseur. What are some of the other groups that we're working with right now, Masa, on the Spec AI front?
Yeah, a lot of the independent operators outside of those two larger groups like Batten Communications, groups like Diamond Shores Broadcasting, Foster Communications. There's a whole ton of those guys.
Well, what I'm getting at is these are, when I look on the horizon and I see a radio tower,
yes,
a station group is a bunch of those radio towers.
Yeah, effectively, that's correct. It's very common here in Los Angeles that you would have Odyssey or iHeart own up to 8 radio stations in a market. And so they can be across several different formats. So each station is a different format, but 8 of them can be owned by one group.
And when we say formats, we mean what?
We mean top 40, which would be CHR, or AC. An example of that would be Coast here in Los Angeles, or Classic Hits, which would be K-Earth.
And the songs that we hear on Classic Hits are not as far back in time as they used to be.
By the way, Classic Hit stations are playing Nirvana and Pearl Jam, no joke. Yes, stuff we grew up with as kids.
Yeah, in 5 years, the 80s will have been 50 years ago, so just let that sink in, too. Okay, so let's talk about the future. Okay, so the future is Spec AI, so that's great. So 25 station groups, and you were pulling out a nuance there that, like what's been demoed to me and what we're going to use today is generative AI to make a script from an idea to a finished spot in real time. We're going to see how that works. You're saying it's also used by these station groups for sales.
That's correct. So the original intent was to create spec spots. So as an account executive whose job is to go out there and bring new business into the radio station and ultimately convince advertisers, not unlike the podcast business that audio is a great medium. A lot of times those AEs are going up onto the street to go meet with a local restaurant or a pet store or whatever it may be. And they've got different assets. It may be a one sheet, maybe different collateral about the radio station. But we are now allowing them to go armed with a spec spot. So this is a spot that's been custom produced for them, so they actually can hear an example of what a radio commercial would sound like that's been built for their company. And so it's been really beneficial for a lot of those groups that we mentioned, and they've seen a lot of increase in new business because of it.
And I have to think that the going in position probably on your guys' side, Chachi and Masa, is like, well, they're going to make these spec spots, and then he's going to go into, I'm just thinking, I'm from Kansas City, Sunflower Dodge of Olathe. And they're going to go into Sunflower Dodge of Olathe with 4 spec spots and go, well, we could sound like this for the Memorial Day sale or for the Father's Day special. And he goes, you know what? I'll just take it. I want to run. And people are probably just running the spec spots, right?
That's exactly how it works. Yeah, they just start sending money right away.
I believe it.
There's no doubt that while the intent again is for spec spots, that there have been stations that have been putting these directly on the air. I always want to be, though, being that we're from the production side of the business and you're from the production side of the business, and that creativity is incredibly important to me. This does not yet replace what humans can do. Is it good? Yes, I think it is good. Is it effective for a lot of these advertisers? It is, but there are still some limitations on what it's able to do and what a human could do as a production director.
I agree with you completely, and then there's also like the invisible hand of the market, and that's what I was kind of guessing at. And then from what I've experienced as well is like, you see a thing on the shelf, you buy it, so it's like walking into this office with that spot, you press play, and they're like, did you have to rethink rights at all? Or like where you originally think, oh, these are spec spots, it'll never air, and now it's like, oh my gosh, they want to just air the thing that we did the spec thing, so we need to make sure we've taken care of music rights or voice rights. Like, what's that been like?
Great question, and there are a lot of legal implications that we're all still trying to figure out as AI moves along. But the music in particular is all Benstown music. This is a partnership between Benstown, Compass Media Networks, and Enco, and so we provide all the music in Spec AI.
Gotcha, and I think that's a solid position to be in, is that it's not being generated, because that's the open question right now with generated AI. Is like, well, what were you referencing, and do you have rights to the thing that you were referencing? We all know that's the whole sticky wicket, so it's cool that you guys have a library, but you're using the AI then to match it, the tone and the feel to what I want with the spot, like the spot we're about to create.
Exactly.
Like the spot that we're about to make for Oxford Road, so let's do it. And since we're an audio-only show, we're going to be explaining the process as we go, but it's going to be so fast, you're not going to believe, as you're listening, how quick it goes by. And if you want to see it for yourself, have a demo for yourself, it's really simple. We'll put this again at the end of this show. You can go to benstown.com. It's BENZTOWN.com. Or reach out to Masa. We'll put his contact information in the show notes. But with no further ado, let's make an ad for Oxford Road using Spec AI.
Here we go.
Yeah, right on. So in the Spec AI interface, it's really straightforward. Like Chachi said, I mean, the whole idea is to create these professionally produced and high-quality spots that really are intended to bring in new revenue and increase business. So you're given the choice when you're in here to create a 15-second spot, a 30-second spot, a 60-second spot. You can create a spot based on having a structured workflow where it gives you these fields, basically, where you type in the advertiser name, the subject, the notes, or you can honestly create it based on a free-form prompt where you just write in, hey, make me a spot about this advertiser. It should be 30 seconds, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach it. We're just going to go through the process of creating it in a structured format where we basically just say, hey, make us a spot about this advertiser, this is the subject, here's some details, go. So we said we're going to do this for Oxford Road. So really straightforward. It's going to say, hey, who's the ad for? We're going to write in Oxford Road. What's the advertisement about? So honestly, what I do a lot of times is I'll go to the website of the business that we're making the spot for and just grab some quick info from there.
Yeah, let's see what you find. Let's see, what did you find about Oxford Road when you quickly visited our website?
There's a tagline on the Oxford Road page that basically says, hey, we're pioneers of performance audio.
It has a nice ring to it. Okay, I'm going to stop.
So after you get a tagline or a main subject line, basically, you can put a little additional color commentary in there, and that's really what's going to give the spot more of the granular detail that you're looking for. It's really called the creative notes, essentially, right? So there's a mission statement on the website, so let's put that in there. The mission statement is basically to grow companies worth fighting for with best in market performance at maximum viable scale. This guy knows it. He knows And then, you scroll down, there's a couple other things that kind of tell you about the company, and I'm going to add a little bit more color commentary in there. Let's see here. Okay, with our rich foundation in audio, our team of cross-channel performance experts drive every channel to perform in unison. So what I'm doing here is essentially just giving it more data to ingest and then, create a spot with. The better the info you put in, the better the result you're going to get. So we put a bunch of info into the creative notes there. It's going to ask for a website, so let's just grab the URL here for oxfordroad.com, pretty straightforward, and we'll dump that in. You can put it in a writing style. We'll just go ahead and use an uplifting writing style. Everyone likes uplifting, right? And then once you've got the info in, you generate ad copy, and in real time, it's now going to give us, which you probably can see, three different scripts in 30-second lengths. It tells you the word count, the read length, and it gives you the opportunity to review each of these scripts. In the interest of time, we don't need to review all three scripts.
Can I just pick a number between 1 and 3? Pick a number between 1 and 3? 2.
Yeah, 2. Here we are. We're on 2. So this is a live form. So once you've got the copy, you can make any edits that you want. You can revise this in any way that you need. Live form here. So again, if you read a sentence in the script where you're like, well, that's not really how we would say things at this brand, you can change that. That's fine. Let's go ahead and pretend everything is perfect the way it came out, and then we just move on to the next step, and then we just move on to the next step, which is the spot with video. So we're gonna now unlock a little bit of the pronunciation and some of the more detailed nuance in the VO in this step here. This is where you can actually create. This is where you can actually create for pronunciation of particular things. So anytime it sees a website, anytime it sees a website, the text has a period in it, right? So maybe the Gen AI gets stripped out and says Oxford Road period com, right? So we need to actually make sure the rule says Oxford Road, DOT, etc. There's all kinds of these different rules you can create with these spots, and with these some of these phrases, some of these words, some of these businesses are going to have regional pronunciation. At which point you can get specific with those phonetics at that point. So it looks like everything in this spot is pretty straightforward as far as words that might trip off the Gen AI. So at this point we move on to choosing an actual voice. So we've got a ton of different voices, male, female choices, male, female choices. So as you go through them, you can basically sample the voices and kind of see what you're working with. So this is Jennifer. She's expressive as Jennifer.
Wait, I've got some thoughts. Do you have someone from across the pond?
There are some accents in here for sure. So let's play around with that for sure.
I think when I think of the Oxford brand, and we've been doing some discussions about this stuff, like an English female voice, like an approachable voice, like an approachable voice, English female voice. Exactly.
Sophisticated. Let's see what this is like here. Here's Sophia Florence here. Here's Sophia Florence.
Step into the future of marketing excellence.
Sophia, let's go. Wisdom. Sophia. Yes, her name means wisdom. Yes, her name means wisdom.
So once you got your voice, so once you got your voice, and now in just a couple of seconds, it's going to give you this script. It's going to give you VO from Sophia, from Sophia, from wisdom here. And so now we can give it a quick listen. Now we can give it a quick listen.
Unlock the power of performance audio with Oxford Road, the pioneers of performance audio. The pioneers of performance audio. We champion brands worth fighting for by delivering best in market viable scale at maximum viable scale. Our expert team harnesses a rich audio foundation and cross-channel expertise to ensure every channel sings in harmony. Every channel sings in harmony. If your brand stands for something extraordinary, join us in this journey. Join us in this journey and watch your company thrive. Step into the future of marketing excellence at oxfordroad.com. At oxfordroad.com. Let's make your brand unforgettable.
All right, there's Sophia there. At this point, an AE or a producer could theoretically download and produce externally and produce externally if they've got music that they would like to use. But as Chachi mentioned, inside this platform.
Hold on, Masa. I've got a question. I'm just getting into audio. Just getting into audio. You said something I didn't quite understand back there. What's dry audio?
Dry audio is with no production behind it, no music behind it, just no music behind it, just the straight read.
So if someone says dry audio, what they mean is just a human voice, just a human voice, no music. No sound effects, no music. Not that it's dry like Ben Stein.
Correct. Yes.
Because that's dry audio.
This also allows the level, production directors at a local level, they want to change the music out, or they want to add sound effects, so that file allows them to make any sort of manipulation or edits.
So that's
to
the
it that
first
they may want
stop on the
to.
road. So that's the first stop on the road. Now, but if we wanted to just keep going and add some music to this, can we keep moving along and add music into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a ton of different music options and production music inside the platform based on a number of different criteria users can choose. So we've got it based on genre, based on key, tempo. You can select by BPM. So there's a lot of different ways that users can find what's going to work for their spot.
We've also got them delineated by format as well, because a lot of our users, as I mentioned, are radio groups, and so sometimes the radio station wants the music to match the format of the station. Probably not unlike that you would want a spot that was read by, let's say, a Jim Rome to sound different than maybe a spot that was read by an Alex Cooper.
And you were saying also that it sounds like there's some seasonality in there as well.
We've got Halloween, for instance. We've got Halloween, for instance, and not a lot of Thanksgiving music, unfortunately, but a lot of Christmas in there.
How many Thanksgiving how many Thanksgiving movies are there? There's one. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's cool. And I want to be honest. Well, that's cool. And I want to be honest too. Like with the listeners, we actually paused on this bit for a little bit to select a song, and I think it's illuminating that how subjective music can be. What I like about this is that you can go wide and pick a few different options. Like if you're not sure, you've got approvals. Let's say you're the chief audio officer, but I've got to take this to the CMO, or I've got to take it to the owner. My recommendation would be I try things like what we just did that we're not going to take everybody through. It's like, well, let's try acoustic, let's try EDM, let's try classical. We went all over the map to kind of explore, because just trying to be one and done is a difficult prospect.
Like any creative, what I love about the ad infinitum is that you've really got an infinite amount of choices. When you look at all the different music and all of the different copy choices that you can get, and as well as all of the different voices, I mean, you could really make the same copy or the same music or the same voice sound. There's an infinite amount of combinations.
Exactly. And I used to be cynical about this. Now more like acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. People will say that are creative approvers. Well, I don't know what I like, but I know what I don't like. And that used to rub me the wrong way. Now I'm like, okay, I can work with that actually. So that means I need to show that person 6 or 7 things.
I had a mentor, as did Masa, who used to say to us, no is the second best answer.
Yeah, that's spirit. Because it can kind of get some creatives, and I know for me, it's gotten me like, well, you need to blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, if the other person's the problem, there is no solution.
So true.
All right, so we picked the song. What's next after the song?
So once you've got the song lined up, it's really straightforward. You just mix the audio. So I was talking about dry audio before, right? So now we've got just the voice, we've got the song chosen, we click a button that says mix audio, and now in a second or two, we've got our fully mixed down spot with music and voice that, theoretically is ready for prime time.
And what I'm seeing here, because I can see the screen, and anyone who's listening can do a demo and experience this themselves with Masa, is I'm seeing what's really cool about after you did the mixed audio, I like in the user flow here, is that I can download the dry and the mixed. Like it didn't move me past the dry. Oh, now I got to go back and get that. I like that you've got both options here.
Yeah, you've got them both. And if you don't like our music, or you want to create something custom on your side, having that dry track allows you to do so.
All right, well, let's take a listen to the finished product.
Here we go. Unlock the power of performance audio with Oxford Road, the pioneers of performance audio. We champion brands worth fighting for by delivering best-in-market performance at maximum viable scale. Our expert team harnesses a rich audio foundation and cross-channel expertise to ensure every channel sings in harmony. If your brand stands for something extraordinary, join us in this journey and watch your company thrive. Step into the future of marketing excellence at oxfordroad.com. Let's make your brand unforgettable.
Oh, I love it. I love the cinematic feel. I love the cinematic feel. It made me want to cut to like a montage of us in the early days of building. You see like all the meetings we'd have on top of the CNN building that never happened but would work. So like, you understand that KPI, we've got to make that ad work.
It's Oxford Road, Braveheart, and Gladiator all in the same.
Yeah, spinning shots of us, then calling Craig Kitchen on the phone, putting up on the bat signal, him standing up.
Cool.
Well, that is really cool.
I mean, imagine as an account executive, and sometimes I feel that AEs are not given their due respect. And going back to the founder of your company, who started as an account executive, and honestly, probably the best I'd ever seen do that business, to be able to walk into a meeting and have a spot already ready to play for them, even though if that spot doesn't go directly on the air, it shows that you took the time to do the research, that you really understand what their company's about, and you get them vested in the process of coming up and helping with their creative process.
Yes, and that is huge. There's a guest that we had on Ad Infinitum, Phil Agnew, who has a podcast called Nudge, and it's all about behavioral science. One of the big cognitive biases he talks about is the labor illusion. The perception of the work that has gone into something translates value. So to me, it's like showing up with a finished spot or being able to play a sample spot transfers value over to the person on the other side of the table. That they're like, oh, you put time and care and energy into this. And I think as we're proving here, even in our we did go through that quickly, which was cool, but we were thoughtful about it. We were thoughtful about getting the voice and the type of the music that we're able to use. The problem with generative AI stuff to me is the problem with advertising, which is humans make really dull advertising. A lot of advertising is really dull, and generative AI just empowers us to make more dull advertising quicker. But it also empowers you to be thoughtful and intentional, and we were thoughtful and intentional about that, going through that using Spec AI, but it was a heck of a lot quicker than if we had to have gotten VO and gotten music another way.
For sure. You're taking a process that probably would take you at the minimum several hours.
I think so.
Knocking that out in a few minutes.
Yes.
Again, this product doesn't necessarily make the air or make the podcast, but it is a great way to get someone interested and to get started with that creative process. And I think, by the way, you are 100% correct about some of the dangers about AI. And being a production company first, creative is so incredibly important to me. I want to make sure that everything that goes on the air is really great content. It's not unlike a musician. No one who shows up to work wanting to do a crummy job or to put something out that's subpar in this business. And it's vital to me that we use AI to create better products, better audio, and hopefully get more people engaged, both in podcasting and in radio, with the power of audio.
For sure. And Masa, from your seat, as you guys are continuing to work on the product and make it better and better, what's next?
I mean, there's so many features in this platform that, we didn't even scratch. And like you said, there's almost an art to utilizing the AI platform in that, we probably went first level depth in doing this in just a couple of minutes. And each step of the way, you can manipulate a bunch of different levers or options or things that you can do to change inflection of the voice, cadence of the voice, all kinds of different stuff. So, there's also features where you can create a spot just by putting in the website of a business. And then instantly it's going to create everything we just created. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it that, again, we just barely scratched. But as, everyone knows, the technology is moving so quickly. So that way, the products are moving quickly too.
No question. And to your point, this was a good demonstration to sort of pull back the curtain and just go, hey, let's do it live.
We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
But to your point, like at Oxford Road, we have a messaging structure that we use that we've developed over the years. It's 71 subcomponents, 9 key components called audiolytics. That's a list of 71 different elements of a persuasive message that are either present or not present. I was just explaining it to somebody earlier today. I mean, it is very simple, but with the power of Claude or with chat or with Gemini, you're able to take that formula and help craft a message and polish a message and make it even better. So for instance, with Spec or with Wondercraft or with whatever the solution might be, you can use the audiolytics prompt to get to a better, sharper outcome. But what I hope people hear in seeing this is that whether it's Athos or Spec or Wondercraft or Audio Stack or one of the other choices that are out there, that the tools are now very much at your fingers to be able to put the idea together and press play. And to me, I found that unlocks the investment easier than having something on a piece of paper that ultimately is supposed to live in somebody's ear.
I 100% agree with you. All of a sudden, it becomes something that's real and tangible. And we live in a world, because we're creatives, we can hear these things, but so many business owners are really focused on what it is that they're doing. And that's what they live, drink, and eat all day long. And we expect them sometimes as we go in there to just understand right away. And that'd be almost like the flip of us understanding their business right away, which I think a lot of us probably wouldn't. And so this is just a great way to get people introduced to audio.
No question. It's like everybody here, it's like we look at a script and can think of the music and the sound effects and the voice and what that would sound of. And I was trying to think of like something that it's like, almost like if you're talking to an electrical engineer. You ever seen like one of those blueprints of like a building? I'm sure you have because of your office. Sure. And it's got the lines and the little numbers and the squiggly. And they're like, well, yeah, you can see right there the circuit, and that's why that light's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what is that? And they can't connect it. So when you can walk walk into a person's office and press play. And I love what you said, you and Masa's mentor, that no is the second best answer. You can press play and they could hate it, but then it's like you're that much closer.
Yes.
I think that's closer than having it on paper and them not liking what's on paper.
I agree. And then you can start to get their feedback on how to build something that does work for them.
Yeah, and they could be like, well, I meant like it would sound more like Stu scatting. Can that be an additional?
Just like Justin Timberlake, I couldn't tell the difference.
Well, thank you guys so much for this.
Thank you, buddy. That was awesome.
Thank you, Stu.
Where can they find out more about Benstown and Spec AI? Where could they get a demo and all that good stuff?
On our website at benztown.com. That's BENZTOWN.com. Or feel free to email Masa at MP. That's M as in Mary, P as in Paul, at benztown.com. And he'd be happy to give anyone a demo and a trial.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. This has been a ton of fun. And thanks again to the silent and strong Darren Silva, who is here every time I do a Benstown recording. And remember, everybody out there listening, to have fun making the ads work.